This is day 47 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today is Siman Lamed Sif Gimel to Siman Lamed Aleph Sif Beis. Please contact me if you would like to sponsor upcoming shir or a week of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. So, Sif Gimel. Hine Rama Perik Dalos Din Yud Pasuk Rabbi Yosef Glish Kosas Man Rachos Film B'Yom V'Lo B'Laylo. Time to put on film is during the day and not at night. Shem Yamim Yamima. It says Yamim Yamima, which obviously means days. Chukazumi Mitzvah Tefillin. This law is talking about Mitzvah Tefillin. V'chein Shabbos Yom Tov and Zman Tefillin. In the pasuk, I should clarify this. This pasuk Shamarta is Chukazos Yamim Yamima. Chukah there refers according to Rambam to Tefillin, and therefore Tefillin is only during the day. V'chein Shabbos Yom Tov and Zman Tefillin. Also Shabbos Yom Tov and Zman Tefillin. Shamar Vayol Os. Shabbos Yom Tov Heim Atzmam Os. That's the time when you need an os, and Shabbos Yom Tov themselves an os. Anybody who puts on film deliberately after the shkia over a belav shenamar v'shamarta, they transgress the prohibition because it says v'shamarta v'chuli akdan l'shono. Even though he passed Rabbi Yosef clearly, Mikom v'Shabbos Yom Tov v'nachar kol Rabbi Akiva. Concerning Shabbos Yom Tov, he took the pasuk Rabbi Akiva. The Mila Os. Veneer this way comes to Taisus Erevin. So therefore, says Arukh HaShulchan, it seems that the Ram holds like the Taisus and Erevin. Rabbi Yosef Gufa Akra the Rabbi Akiva Samach. Rabbi Yosef for Shabbos Yom Tov relied on the pasuk of Rabbi Akiva. Ein Sham. The Talmud Mabor, and it's clear what the reason is. The located if that's not that way. Really might Yamim below Kol Yamim or Shabbos Yom Tov. How do you know that Yamim and not all Yamim comes to eliminate Shabbos and Yom Tov? Maybe it's other days that they eliminate. Therefore, it must be that they rely on the pasuk of le'os. Even though it seems that there's limits between Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Akiva, also from Shabbos Yom Tov, basically over a belav, according to Rabbi Yosef, you transgress the prohibition. Came in the Asim, Shamarta, come over light, since it comes, shouldn't be derived from Shamarta, just like nighttime is. The Akiva Rak answer Shabbos Yom Tov. According to Akiva, there's no prohibition, it's just you don't have to put them on Shabbos Yom Tov. Have an over a belav, but there's no prohibition. And he brings it back as Chenkos of Shagar Sari Simen Malov. Lama Shaleh the Rambam Kain. Rambam does not learn that way. V'raya l'zem Rabbi Yochanan. And evidence for his position for Rabbi Yochanan is Philip Rabbi Yosef, who holds like Rabbi Yosef. Lama Amar, why do you not say Rabbi Yochanan? Call him here tefillin b'layla or b'Shabbos Yom Tov v'b'lav. That anybody puts on tefillin either night or on Shabbos Yom Tov transgresses a lav. Elavad b'Shabbos Yom Tov Rabbi Yosef ain't over b'lav. Must see the Rabbi Yosef on Shabbos Yom Tov we don't transgress the prohibition. V'tam mishum the ikar kol v'shamarta asay l'layla. It's because the primary pasuk of the Shamarta comes for nighttime. Shabbos Yom Tov ikar kol milaos. Shabbos Yom Tov the primary pasuk is leos. And let's say the Rambam does not bring the pasuk of Shamarta on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Dalit. Avorah saying about it, Taisus Varif Arosh Basmag all day pasuk Rabbi Akiva. Shouldn't Ravashi server Cain? Vladimir Torah is Mount and nighttime therefore. According to these showing is a time to meet the right. So Vrak meet Rabbana also Nichel Mechatchilu Balayla. Only meet Rabbana now put them at night. Shema Yisham Bahin because you might come to sleep in them. Chenkos School Pasuk B'Tuv Shulchan Aruch. Zelashon Rabbeinu Beis Yosef see base. Also in the afternoon Balayla. The Beis Yosef's language is that you're not allowed to put film on at night. Shema Yishkachem. Yisham Bahin maybe you're forgetting you'll sleep in them. V'minichum Kolim Shadishkachama. So you put on before Shkias Hachama. Then V'chashcha Alav and then it became dark. I feel him a low call, even though they're on him the entire night. Mutai doesn't take him off. They ain't Mori Kane. They don't task him this way for the masses in public. And the bracket says for Rabim Tzarchotim, in front of many, if you're in front of the masses, you have to take them off that they should notice you have children on at night. If you look at a lot, tefillah, mishishka, mishishokacham, but don't take off after the shkes kama. It's loyal makom shamron because they have a place to watch them. And in love, and also they're upon you in order to preserve them safely. Mutar umarinke. That's me, and we do basket this way for the masses. Al kan shonov it's so shiomar sheosakadei shoman. You have to say that you are doing it in order to safeguard them. There are several Mishnah on what we just learned. First one, Mishnah brings down that the opinion of Avraham is that Ben Hashmoshes you're allowed to even put on the film deliberately. The Pri Megadim is not sure about this. unless he hasn't fulfilled the mitzvah tefillin the entire day at all, then you should put him on during Bein HaShmoshes. Mishnah also writes that in any event, you don't have to take off the tefillin if after Shkia, regardless, only at Seis HaKochavim. The Arizal, however, on the other hand, was careful to take off his tefillin before Shkia Sachama. Mishnah also writes that as long as you don't take off the tefillin, you're allowed to leave them on the entire night. But if you take them off even one time, you're not allowed to put them on again. Obviously, for safeguarding them, but it might be different. Mishnah also writes that you should not daven Marav on the tennis tzibur, but Rabbim wearing tefillin. Many people, including real yekas, not like me, wear towels and tefillin for a mincha on the tennis tzibur. You should take them up before the Marav because that's by Rabbim. The Mishnah also writes that that which were moreh, we paskin for people to wear tefillin in order to preserve them. That especially when they're ready upon him. That for the shmirah, you don't have to take them off even the entire night, as long as you're not going to sleep. But he says that you put them on now. Like I said a few moments ago, I didn't think that this would be the case. So he says to put them on lechatchila in order to safeguard them is usher, but yesh mekilim b'zeh. Some people are lenient. According to mekilim, it's possible that it's mutter then even to put them on a shem mitzvah, even though nevertheless you should not make a bracha on the tefillin. Now, obviously, everything depends on the situation. You have to wear them or safeguard them. You have no choice. The Biur Halacha also writes that even if his kavanah is not for the shmirah, but he's saying that in order that people will not, to other people, in order to explain to them why he's wearing tefillin at night, in order that they shouldn't come to the matzah to put on tefillin themselves deliberately at night. That's also good enough. It's a little bit of a mishani mivnei darkei shalom, changing, not being quite direct. Okay, the Rambam writes, back to Arukh HaShulchan, Rambam Kasadim Elu. Ram writes all these halachos which you just said from the Arukh HaShulchan. If it's in order to present them before Shbak Mora, it's from explicitly Gemara. The Mutzah Afil Eli allows man tefillin. It's permissible even if nighttime was not as man tefillin, as we wrote. But this first halacha that it became dark is permitted, but you don't pass this way for the masses. Lama Kasav, why do you write that? And that's only according to opinion in the Gemara. According to Gemara, it's only according to opinion that night is not a time of tefillin. For Nero Lahadya, it seems explicit here. The Rambam Befarish Shvish Acher B'Gemara. Rambam has different interpretation of Gemara. But open to Zo Afilu L'Man Marlai allows man tefillin. That all this is true, or that we just said, even the Lai allows man tefillin. And we have a long brackets here. V'achei Berusha. And this is waiting to understand the Gemara. See the comment of Rav Ashi B'Choshav B'Niach tefillin. We're sitting in front of Rav Ashi and it got dark and he put on tefillin. Klamar Shlo Cholzan. Meaning he didn't take them off. Halach ve'markin is halach, and we don't pass this way. Klamar halachas min haTorah also nicha b'layla. The halachas min haTorah according to Rambam now I put them on at night. Avul chaltzon, but to take them off ain't chiyuv min haTorah. There's no Torah obligation. Ach ein morin kain im elu sham. We don't tell a person not to take them off unless it's in order to safeguard them. Peace and his gala tamul sharama shapasik Rabbi Yosef. According to this, says Arukh HaShulchan, the reason the Rambam passing like Rabbi Yosef has become apparent. Mishnah the Farish the Gam Rav Ashi to like Rabbi Yosef because he also Rav Ashi also has Rabbi Yosef. According to this, you could say the Gam Rif Sabakan. The Rif also is that way because of Halacha Kravashi. He also loves Ravash Besh Rama. And it says Rabbi Yochanan. According to Rama, doesn't contradict Rabbi Yochanan. If he saw the Shabbat Mashay via Rif, Gam the Rabbi Yochanan therefore works out well. That which Rif brings down the words of Rabbi Yochanan. The great Achronim had very grave difficulty with their words. It's clear that this is what they meant. And this is their intent, Viduk. Hey, let's say you want to get up and go early on the road. Put on the tefillin without a bracha. If I feel serving Laila as man tefillin, mean I tell him those Laila is not time tefillin with the Raisa. You come never came to Rabbanon through. Since the Isser to put him on night is the Rabbanon, even though when going to go out early on the road, they allow this. Because in this case, there is no chashash, no suspicion, no concern. They might fall asleep. Because since he's traveling, he has to go and fall asleep. Become a nevertheless bracha, ain't no me. We don't say bracha. Techem marvet tzivonu. Even though lies not tefillin, you gotta take tzivonu because chachamim for a bait putting on night. Chenechem below bracha. Therefore, you put it on without a bracha. Yes, man. When the time comes, you mashish my bracha. You manipulate them and make a bracha. The dan you should know the loitiros that rakna mishalech is only somebody who's going by foot. When he's riding in a carriage, a wagon, they're not permitted to put them on before daybreak. You're sitting in a wagon, you might fall asleep just like you're sitting at home. So if you're riding on a horse or a donkey, you can't put them on before daybreak. In other words, Mishiakir. If you're riding, you can't fall asleep because then you're going to fall. Those who are accustomed to ride horses, they're able to sleep as long as the horse or a donkey is not going too fast. If it's ridden. But there are those who are permitted when you're riding. And that's how Arukh HaShulchan passes the Maisa. There's several Mishnah Berurahs here. The Bira Halacha is not sure, according to Magen Avraham, when he gets up several hours before daylight, and puts them on, maybe he has to put your hand upon them, like somebody who was riding and the sun set. They have to cover the tefillin, I guess because the Marasayin, he ran into the Tzarech Ir. Mishnah Berurah writes that if you did make a bracha at night when you put them on, you don't make a bracha in the morning again, obviously, because it could be considered as man tefillin according to several opinions. The Bira Halacha also brings down that there's those who matir to put on tefillin at night in the wagon, and if he's afraid that they're going to get lost, and he's doing it in order to safeguard them, you don't have to be matir if you're sitting in a wagon. You can put them on, just like somebody who's traveling on foot. Okay, says the Arukh HaShulchan in Sif Vav. Vinay, did I miss some Mishnah Berurah? Don't think so. Vinay Atur Shulchan Aruch Kasu Din Zeh. The Torah Shulchan write this halacha, but Rambam lo kasav the Rambam does not bring it down. This thing about before daybreak. Tama love the Zel Brisa, but so Perikah they were astounded because there's a Brisa in the end of Perikah comes in Menachos. Kasus really the Asiman Malaylas non-fill. So I want to say this is going to go into opinion that nighttime is not time filling. I'm astonished at them, says Arukh HaShulchan. Laugh at the Brisa and first Rambam. The Brisa is explicitly like the Rambam. Zel Shon Brisa is what the Brisa says. You're getting up early, to go up on the way. Mitzvah Shema. You're evading, you're afraid you're feeling going to get lost. Menicha, you put them on. When the time comes, you manipulate them. Iron jump. So we see they only permitted this when somebody's afraid. Shema Yovda, because they might get lost. It's only to safeguard them. The Rambam writes this. Father Rabba, on the contrary, I'm astounded. Why leave out this line, which indicates like the Rambam that you're afraid they're going to get lost? Because this is going to appear that nighttime is not as man tefillin, and nevertheless they're being lenient. I'm sorry, I skipped this. Sorry, I skipped. Going back. Why did they leave this out? How do you know the without this concern it's permitted? I have to say this all the time that which it says that you're afraid they're going to get lost. That's specifically in order to justify this law, according to Pino, which is not time to. If it came into Pasku, and since they paskin the Laila's Mountain, that nighttime is a time of tefillin, so the Muta Gambalucha says that it's permitted even without this concern. But the question is, how they get there? The price says the Misyori. V'akumantiv Rambam Muchachim Brayso Atzmo. The Neven, whereas Rambam are compelled from the Brayso itself. Maybe they didn't have in the Brayso that you're afraid they're going to get lost. Sharif Rosh Be'emes Vaisag Yersosam Kach. And so the Rivim Rosh, in fact, did not have that Gears in the Brayso Misyori, etc. Ein Sham. Mordechai Aviyah. The Gerasa Misyori Shem Yaveda. Mordechai brings down with that Girsa. Kachas or Girsa Rambam. And there was a Girsa Rambam. Please ask the Shapir. Called Dive Rabbo Seinu. According to this, all of our Rabbeim's words come out perfectly. Mishavur writes that even if you had a place to watch them, you're allowed to put them on because we're not afraid that you are going to fall asleep. So therefore, even if you have alternatives to watch them, you're allowed to put them on to watch them as well. Zayin, Hoya Baba, there you were coming on the road, feeling barosh and feeling on your head. Shokol of Chama, and the sun said, Ain't no chol. Don't take them off. Like you rosh, put your hat on your head at your hand. On the rosh, and she get the bites till you reach a house. They sharol lois by shan belayla. Now, there shouldn't be a mar sign that people think put it at night. Yosha, based on metrish, but you're sitting in your house in the base metrish, ain't so chasos biyah, you don't have to cover with your hand. Mishnah Bura writes, I've seen the beer alocha, that even if you're amidst a congregation and a group, nevertheless, it works to put a hand over them. I'm not afraid that people are going to become aware that you're putting on tefillin. And also, you're allowed to wear them out from the base medrash outside on Shabbos, I guess when they're covered. The Bir Halacha brings down a machlokas. The Taz holds that if you're sitting in the base medrash, you don't have to put your hand over them. Because everybody knows that you put them on before the nighttime, and there's no Isra. Magen Avraham holds you have to put on there anyway. But the obviously Arukh HaShulchan is lenient on this, like the Magen Avraham. No, like the Taz. Okay. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. She was singing the base medrash and Erev Shabbos. You can't put them down in Mechashash because they might get lost or stolen. You can't also take them, tell them, you don't carry them in Shabbos because no Erev. You have to basically wear them till you get home. You and put your hand over them until you reach your house. There's a house closer than your own personal house, and they'll be safeguarded there. You must put them down in the closest place possible. Some people say after Plag, say, when it's still daytime, you hadn't put on tefillin yet that day. Put them on afterwards. Came the choir so Lila, because you already made it a shame Lila. You'll be doing two colors, which are tied to disaster. You'd have Marv early, saying it's nighttime. You want to put on tefillin anyway, saying it's daytime. How could you do such a thing? Therefore, of course, if he didn't daven yet, even though the tzibur did daven, mutar in the tefillin not to put on tefillin. Some say if he held it was daytime and he made a bracha, as you read nighttime, you don't have to make a bracha. I guess the next morning, I assume. Came the time of the poskim lias mantfilin. We had that before Mishnah Bura. Since most poskim would have lias mantfilin. The Danish know the the Kabbalists were very concerned and warned. Don't like the reason no tefillin at night, but gamlis about Arvasam and not that marvel with them. Perhaps they'll like kulai so like a Rambam doing a Torah loves mantfilinu. I mean the Raisa. Nighttime is not mantfilin. They have few Mishnah Buras. She brings down that if you did not put on tefillin the entire day at all, then you shouldn't put them on. Then they can put them on after. No, 1 second. Sorry, earlier Mishnah. Mishnah brings down claim who argue and hold Allah that you have to put them on without a bracha as long as before it tastes, even if they have the marv, which makes sense because marv is the rabbanon and tefillin the raisa. So although it may be attached to the sasa at the rabbanon level, but on the raisa level, it seems you should have to put them on. Tezvav, I'm sorry. Just note in the Mishnah Bura. Mishnah writes specifically if you didn't put them on, the tefillin tzibur already done. If you didn't, and you didn't put on tefillin all that day, then you put on tefillin even after tzibur started davening Marv. But you already put on tefillin, but you want to put them on now again. You should not put them on again if the tzibur is already davening Marv. Okay. The halacha brings out a machlokes haposkim about, as we said before, about whether you made a bracha at night, whether you have to make it by mistake, you don't make a bracha the next day, and it was a tzorech iyun, and obviously it's tzorech iyun, but I mean also the same halacha Arukh HaShulchan not to make the bracha. Siman lamed aleph, din tefillin b'Shabbos yontav v'cholam bayit. Aleph, Shabbos yontav labas and tefillin, Shabbos yontav not that tefillin. Yafina miva yola os yotzu Shabbos yom tov mishein atzmam os. Preclude Shabbos yotzu they themselves an os. Barakosana b'sis heap b'sim ha'kurim tzigimo. Tafil aram in the pasuk Rabbi Yossi m'kurim the Rambam pasuk Rabbi Yossi Aglili. The Laila labs man tefillin that night times not times man tefillin. Mikra de v'shamarta from that pasuk shamarta. You day over b'lav shemichem b'ayla. According to him transgress prohibition. If you put him on night. View duration I croak on Shabbos Yontav and eat directions for this. From this also Shabbos Yontav should be prohibited. Mikol makom nevertheless Amnicham Shabbos Yontav ain't no variable law midam Shemar Hashem. Nevertheless, he puts that on Shabbos Yontav as not transgress the law, like we explained previously earlier. Mikol makom nevertheless kasav Rabbeinu b'Yisrael the Shabbos Yontav also nechtum neshem atzmam os. The language of the Beis Yosef and Shabbos you're not allowed to put them because they Shabbos Yontav by themselves and os. If you're on another os, it's a mockery of the os of Shabbos and Yontav. The Torah, it's not a Torah prohibition. He means to say el isim shum bizayon Shabbos Yontav. It's inappropriate because of the diminished respect for Shabbos and Yontav. Beis v'achis mechilta so parasha Yud Zayin. The Mechilta says, "If it's not Mechilta, Shabbos kriya os, Latin kriya os. Since Shabbos calling os and Tefillin calling os, lo yitain os b'soch os. Don't put a sign within a sign. O yitain os l'toch os. Maybe you'll say you should put a sign inside a sign. Amarti tirche Shabbos shchev l'kores. Misa says base and Tefillin. So we say no. Shabbos, when which a chai kores and Misa's basin pushes off Tefillin. Shem mekayvin Allah kores and Misa's basin, which are not chai kores and Misa's basin, if we're not putting them on. I can't show them. Klama Shabbos doich Tefillin. Shabbos doich Tefillin. Gunai Shabbos shit tzarich lo zacher, and it is a degradation of Shabbos that should require another os. And the Yalkut Shimoni Parshas Bo said yesh o mamar kazeh b'loshen acher. There's another statement which is similar. Tidche Shabbos she creates os ubris Tefillin shaloni creates os b'yavad. That Shabbos is called an os and a bris, a sign and a covenant. Push up Tefillin, which is only called a sign. The kavanah means Shabbos not out on the os of Shabbos. Yontav Arugh Shabbos. Yontav is also like Shabbos. Sheikhs Hebrew Shabbaton, because Yontav is called Shabbaton, but Yom Shon Shabbaton, Yom Shmini Shabbaton. For Yontav Sheni should be Rabbanon also between. Even if the Sheni which is Rabbanon is also between. The Yeshklav Yachachim Lakor Davar Minat Erev Sheva Taisa. Chacham can say to you not to do something. Shofar v'lulav shechab Shabbos. She told you shofar v'lulav not put on Shabbos. And then you'd be a bonus. Upashu the meiniach tefillin Shabbos Yontav shem mitzvah over about Tosif. Put on tefillin shem mitzvah on Shabbos Yontav. You're over on Baal Tosif. The Bura says only you put him on shem mitzvah. Obviously, put him on not l'shem mitzvah. There is no Baal Tosif. And it's also not a mockery unless you bring on befar hesia out in public. Then it's also mirabbanan. Some people machmir, and no matter what. Unless they otherwise would be sitting in a state of degradation, such as if you find Tefillin Shabbos in the field, you'll have to put them on and bring them on into the city, bring them into the city as you're wearing them, as will be explained in Siman Shin Aleph. And also the Arukh HaShulchan finishes here. V'mutar tal Tefillin Shabbos Yontav Yisbar Siman Shin Ches. When for his last Tefillin Yontav will be discussed in Hilchos Shabbos.